I work in the audit team at the University of Hull, and our job is really to promote low carbon. And we kind of grew out of the offshore wind industry. And we've got three kind of core areas that we work in: industry, engagement and enterprise, research, development and innovation, as you can see, and the most important one, the talent pipeline. And I'll let you guess why that's the most important one. The people we work with today are listed on the board there. You can see we've got some big companies, in this case Orsted. We've got other universities, Durham and Sheffield involved with us. We've got NOC as well, National Oceanography Centre. And our job is all about collaboration. We're trying to knit all these people together because we're a massive team. There's 7 of us, and we're a force to be reckoned with. And we're only a force to be reckoned with because we work with all these people and bring them in to help things get done, because we can't do it all. So, talent pipeline. Some of the things that have happened in talent pipeline: we've built some competency frameworks for some organisations. We released a labour and skills study back at the beginning of 2018, and I'm going to touch on that as we go through the presentation. We have a centre for doctoral training that's just started in September, and that's a fantastic thing. And that will probably have over the years to come, about 40 graduates running through to PhD. We also have just started with Siemens Gamesa, a graduate apprenticeship master's programme, which is really the first of its kind, certainly in offshore wind. So we have 11 people in Siemens Gamesa working for the next 3 or so years towards their master's qualification. The presentation, I'm just going to take you through offshore wind, a little bit on the energy and utility sector, and then into the electricity market. So I mentioned the study, that's the front page of it, and it looks at employment and labour skills requirements for the industry from 2018 through to 2032. And the big figures that came out of it were roughly we'll need about 36,000 people in the sector going forward to develop the UK's offshore wind sector, which isn't that many people really when you think about it. Is that, there's bigger companies knocking around. We'll have more than 3 times the turbines in the water by 32 than we did in 17, and there'll be 5 times more capacity, and that's really because they're getting bigger, and bigger is best in the offshore wind sector. The intention is to drop the cost by 30%. I think that'll probably drop by about 50% going at the rate we're doing at the moment. If I look at the Humber estuary on itself, we'll probably increase jobs from 1,500 to about 9,000 people. Well, with the current infrastructure pipeline requirements, we need 100,000 people in this region by 2023. So that's 100,000 more jobs coming into this region than we've got right now. And we've got to find people to fill those jobs. Currently, 22% of the workforce is female. We need to bring more females into the sector. 4% come from the Black and Asian minority ethnicity groups, and there's 8% in the population in the region, so we need to do work in that space. And the other thing that's interesting is, connected with offshore wind, there's 62 apprenticeships, but there's only 23 of them run in this area. And that can be maritime, vessels, all sorts of things, but you have to go outside the region for them. Things that matter in the industry right now: asset management. I won't go through the list as you see it, but I'll just talk about 1 or 2 of the items themselves. Project management. What we struggle to find is people who can manage a project worth over £100 million. That's a big thing for the sector. Is that, we've all run a £2,000, £3,000, £30,000 project, but when you slap a £100 million plus project on the table, the investors need to know that they're giving it to someone who can actually deliver that project. In terms of asset management, we're looking for people in the environmental management field, in compliance and in engineering management. Engineers up there, and that's a common thing that we hear all over, is we're looking for mechanical, control and instrumentation, and we're looking for the sort of usual electrical guys and that sort of area. But one of the areas that's growing, and it ties into what Jazz was saying, is the data people, is data networking people, data infrastructure people, that's growing, and there's a real need for those people and the lack of education in that area. Scientist-wise, well, we've got the environmentalists and the physicists in there, and that can be marine biologists, environmental and physics and scientists, sorry. Health and safety-wise, in the industry, there's one thing that's missing right now is because we're going further offshore, then we have to look after ourselves when we're out there. And then if somebody gets in trouble, you're looking for your mate or one of your mates to help you if you've fallen down. And we've had incidents where a guy's dislocated his shoulder, and it's taken us 3 hours to get him back on shore with his shoulder out. And he had actually to step down from the top of the turbine himself, all the way down the ladders, 90 metres, and get himself on a vessel that was bobbing around while his shoulder was out. And the funny thing was, we were quite pleased with how we did that in 3 hours. He wasn't really, but we were. So one of the areas that's developing here is we're taking a lot of ex-forces people who are medicine trained, combat medicine trained, and we're converting them into being technicians offshore. So we're kind of switching things. It used to be, we'll pick on the techs and make them do first aid courses. And a good way of doing it now is do it the opposite way. And the thing I've got down the bottom there is soft skills. And that's about living together right now. In terms of service operating vessels, go out offshore maybe for 14 to 28 days. So all of us have got to go in that service operating vessel and get on for 14 to 28 days. And actually that's proving to be a problem. And I know that with one organisation, there's one shift that are a pain in the ass and another shift they got on really well. So it's these little things as well that matter. And that's where some of the armed forces, ex-armed forces people sort of play well in. Focus for the future, training and technical standards. So this is one for the providers really, is the industry needs to standardise its training to help the providers provide the amount of training that's required. Because right now it's really bitty and there's not enough, let's say, CATCH or ETA or all the different organisations to get a tool going. Vessels and logistics solutions, that can be things like maritime coordination software and maritime coordination in general. We've got next generation crew transfer vessels and walk-to-work systems, and they all require a lot of innovation to get them up and running. Subsea cables and transmission is really about the fact that we're going further out now and deeper and rougher waters, and you've got to lay these cables. And cables, as well known, this story goes, 7% of the cost is in the cable, 70% of the failure rates are connected with the cable. So we need to get better in terms of cabling and transmission. If I look at turbine technology, that's really to do with the blades being bigger. We're working at the university on self-healing blades, rather like your skin repairs itself when you have a cut. We're trying to develop a chemical solution that will repair the blades. But as we've seen in earlier presentations, you've got bigger blades, one of 7 meters ones for the halyard and stuff like that, and that all requires engineering innovation. The second last one I want to talk about is artificial intelligence robotics. It's been touched on throughout the day in some ways, and I mentioned earlier that Edinburgh University got £36 million to try and bring offshore robotics in, up to speed, if you like, for the country, because we have no robotics really offshore. We've got the idea of drones and unmanned vehicles, but the rest are not there. And I don't think that's actually going to be a little robot plodding along and climbing a wind turbine, because it's not built for that. It's going to be something a little bit cleverer than that. And data analytics, I'm going to touch on that a little bit more as we go through. I'm going to steal a little bit of advice. Right, I'll skip through this really quickly. Okay. So virtual and augmented reality for offshore wind farms. And one of the things we want to do here is look at, virtual reality training off turbine, and in simulated environments. But also we want to make realistic environments off turbine and then use HoloLens technology or a variety of technologies to try and simulate aspects of what could go on in a turbine. And that could be for engineering or telemedicine. The kind of end goal for us in that is to actually provide people with lenses or with the capability to transmit back to the beach, so that if you have a problem engineering-wise or a problem medical-wise, the shore can help you, because they can see what you can see and they can provide some assistance. Just moved on from that. Okay. And now if I look at the wider sector, so some of the work we did with the report was done with energy and utility skills. And so they kind of cover all the waste stuff, the gas stuff, the electrical stuff, waste management, and water. So they pulled together a report of what they need going forward. And the report is jazzily called, you can find it, the Workforce Renewable Renewal and Skills Strategy 2020. It doesn't feature in Richard and Judy's top books of the year, but it is actually quite useful. Because what it highlights is the competition for talent in the UK. Right now we've got the tightest labour market we've ever had in 40 years. So people are in jobs and don't necessarily want to leave the job to go to another job, or they don't necessarily want to leave the location they're in to go somewhere else. They don't want to go to Grimsby necessarily, or they don't want to go to Lowestoft or Great Yarmouth or that sort of idea. So you really have to pull them in to make them want to come to these areas. This point down here, 36% of vacancies in the energy sector were classified as skills shortages. That means that those vacancies went to the Migration Advisory Committee, and they are now held in there, and people are allowed to access the UK because easier, if you like, if they fill these roles. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you some of those roles as an idea of where we are. The number at the bottom, 20,000 engineers, is what we're short of. As a total right now, we're short of about 132,000 engineers in this country. And that goes up by 20,000 every year. So we keep adding to that. And then, whether things are made more difficult or easier with Brexit will play a factor in this as well. Now, I made this slide busy because it's about data. and it's hard to understand a bit like data really for me and what's going on. But if we look at it, we can see that we've got a lot of stuff to do with data in terms of setting up systems that people can use and looking after people's data and being secure and storing their data and then analysing that data. Because I think earlier on, you said, Zarian, that 1% of the data is analysed out of all the data we get. And I'm not saying we have to analyse all 100% because that would waste a bloody time. But we've got to get better at it. We've got to figure out what we want to analyse. But then it's that data that we'll then need to drive, as it says up here, robotics, grid and data services, controllable systems, smart grids, microgrids. It'll be all of that stuff that we need this data to manage. It'll be, trading and portfolio management, dynamic pricing. If we're going to trade between each other, that could be houses between each other, that could be companies on the bank between each other producing their own power, then we need to give them that capability. And the line at the bottom here is just too complicated for me. Okay, but this is what the report produced. It looks like some political statement that, I can understand the words individually, together it confused me slightly, but it means we got to get better at data. And the last bit I'm going to touch on is the electricity market. And they've got some challenges. I've sort of worked in this market a little bit, and you can see the things that they've got, the challenges or opportunities going forward in terms of hydrogen or electric vehicles, storage, smart grid technologies, and that sort of idea. And they've got to get better at it to manage it. I think for them, that's the hardest piece they've got to deal with. So the Scottish Government produced a report, and it said its requirements, as you see up there, around high-level science, computer engineering, customer and stakeholder management, digitisation. But a lot of this, I look at it and I think, we said these words 20 years ago, and we keep coming back to these words. We just got more of it now and faster at it, but we don't seem to have got top of it. And then I wanted to pick on one of the roles, smart grid engineer. So if you're going to run a smart grid, so it used to be if you were a grid engineer, you took control of a network, you looked at a P&ID, a technical diagram, and you had your area, and you could switch within that area. And it was, I've done a little bit of switching in that space, but I didn't have to know all this sort of stuff. And that's what the guys are going to need to do going forward in terms of systems automation, prototyping, regulatory environment, and that sort of idea, and software architecture. These are all the skills that these guys are going to need to develop and manage smart grids. Cheering you up, no end here. Okay, I talked earlier on about the Migration Advisory Committee. Okay, a list of jobs went forward last year too, though. It's a bigger list than the list that was already there from the 2015 list. And I'm just going to run that for a second just to let you see some of them. And many of these roles you'll see cut across many sectors, not just the energy sector. So they're going to be fighting you for these as well. These are the guys, these are the ones that the energy sector put in. So, but these roles also go into other areas, and those buggers will be trying to get these guys and gals as much as we are.